final story of the day, the Airbnb bubble popping will pop the housing bubble. That's a lot of words. But what does that really mean, right? This is kind of, if you want to think about it, exactly what Jerome Powell was going for when he started raising rates. And if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Uhl, and I love talking about those, talking about stocks and finding those outlier trades with outsized returns. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. Today's episode is sponsored by Outlier.com. Go to OVTLYR.com to find out why outliers win. Now, the Airbnb bubble popping will pop the housing bubble popping poppies. Yes. Now, here's how you can tell if a speculative bubble is a bubble. Everyone said it isn't a bubble. Okay? And if we take a look here, let's see. Housing globally is in a bubble. Let's take a look at the charts here. So this is the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. And you can see where it was, I don't even know where it was set to 0, but it looks like 06 and then 2022. We can see, oh, here we go. Here's some, from 91 to 06. That's what that looks like here. And then 06 to 2012, right? And then from 2012 to 2022. So this 10-year block, you can see, is rising at 174 versus 109 for the last bubble that popped. And yeah, it's rising faster, higher and faster than we've really ever seen before. And everybody feels it. There's a house in my neighborhood that I keep taking my kids by that's for sale for $1.2 million. And I'm looking at this house, and I remember going through houses exactly like this one and thinking, this is not $1 million house. There is no possible way this is $1 million house. But not only is it $1 million house for sale now, it's a $1.2 million house, right? My first house costs less than the 0.2 that they're adding on top of $1 million on this house out there. And it is just, it's not that kind of house. But the story goes on to say a few more things, right? Many wealthy families collect multiple properties by inheritance, a second home, or long-term rentals. Now, this reminds me, my family and I, we went to a beach vacation, and when we go, we like to rent out a house. And I mean, big, beautiful house, big 3-story house with an elevator, just gorgeous house right on the beach. And the people who own it, clearly they don't live there. The objective with their home is to rent it out, right? Because of course they're making like $1,000 a week or whatever the case is, renting that house out, and it's great for them. But what we're seeing is that more and more of these properties are having less and less people stay in them, because staying at an Airbnb kind of sucks, right? You've got to take out the trash. You got to clean it. There's also a cleaning fee on top of the fact that you're already cleaning the place. And people are saying, I'm done with this. I'm going to go stay in a hotel where it costs less and I get a better value. And I don't have to clean anything or take out my own trash. And every day that I come in, my bed is made. The bathroom is cleaned up. Yeah, this is probably a much better vacation than having to do all these chores by myself. I can stay home and do chores, right? Now, a systematic driver of this is the bidding war for these Airbnb models of monetization that we're just talking about right now, right? Where somebody buys a home and is like, hey, we're going to rent this thing out. It's going to be so cool. I don't even have to clean it. I don't even have to pay for a maid to come and clean it. I'm going to let the people who are staying there clean it. Oh, I'm going to make $1,000 a week passively. This is so great. But the problem is that it's led to an artificial scarcity of housing in popular tourist destinations. And now people aren't going to these destinations. People aren't taking out these Airbnb vacations. And now they can't make their mortgage payments on the houses that they thought would be easy passive income. And now we got a problem, because now they're going to be trying to dump all those houses onto the market and take potentially write-offs here. Maybe a little bit of a haircut at front on the beginning here, but then they're just going to say, you know what? I got to get out of this property. I'm going to take it down 20%. I'm going to take it down 30%. I'm going to take it down 40%. Whatever the case is, I got to get out of this. And I mean, this is honestly what Jerome Powell was going for by raising rates, because by raising rates, it's made it less affordable for people to buy houses, right? That house in my neighborhood may have cost $500,000 a few years ago before COVID. And now $1.2 million, plus the fact that financing has nearly tripled during that time, these houses are becoming so unaffordable. And that was the plan all along. Now, by making them more unaffordable, prices are going to have to come down in order for the market to satisfy the demand. And by doing so, that's going to cause, deflation or uninflation, if you want to think of it that way. But the price coming down so that people can afford it. And let's even talk about this chart here. Median household income versus median household rent, median rent, right? Income really hasn't changed all that much. It's gone up. I mean, it's definitely gone up, but it hasn't gone up to the extent of the rent price. And of course, rent price would go along with mortgage values and mortgage prices and home prices. But you can see this growth has gone up 150%, while this may have gone up 40% during this time here. So this is quite a disparity. Housing has become less and less and less affordable, more than it ever has. Now, I got to thinking, how does this relate to the market? Well, Wells Fargo is one of the biggest banks out there with most of the mortgages. I don't know what the stat is, but I know I have a Wells Fargo mortgage for the first and second house I've ever owned. So I know that they cover a huge amount of the mortgage business out there. And we just got a sell signal back on August 22nd for them, and they're solidly within this downside indicator here. So I would say if there is a bubble going to be popping, Wells Fargo may be a stock that's going to be greatly impacted by that, because they're the ones carrying the load of all this debt on their backs. And if these mortgages start to default, these banks that are carrying these mortgages, they're going to be the ones that are hurting. So we need to take a look and keep a watch on those. Now let's go take a look at the comments on this. The Airbnb mentality today. If I can't rent it on a daily basis for a crap ton of money, I'll just rent it long term. Which is what the condo conversation was in 2006. If I can't flip it in a few months, I'll just rent it out long term. It's the same result, right? That's what people are saying. There's lots and lots and lots of people who are saying housing crash incoming, right? 60% of the houses in this person's neighborhood are Airbnbs. When the crash comes, I'm going to pick up a discount and then turn it into a long-term rental. The problem is, when the crash comes, if the crash ever comes, how low will it crash? We don't know. So don't rush to pick up what they would call a falling knife, because it just might cut you on the way down. So we covered today's top 3 stock stories of the day. First, Disney. They went woke. They've gone broke. They got huge problems over there. Next, the richest member of Congress is selling boatloads of stock, including Bud Light. They also went broke. They're also going broke. But if they're selling lots of stock over in Congress, what does that really mean? Do we have some issues that we all need to be looking forward to in the future? I don't know about that. And the Airbnb bubble popping is going to pop the housing bubble. All the bubble pipple popplers, or whatever the case, is going to happen over there. But truth be told, the data is definitely showing that we are having some issues out there. Issues, honestly, frankly, truthfully, caused by the Fed. So let us know what you think by hitting the like button down below. And thank you all so much for tuning into today's Outlier Live. Be sure, if you want to trade smarter and not harder, go to outlier.com. That's OVTLYR.com to see why outliers win. Again, if you want to trade faster if you want to trade smarter and not harder, go to OVTLYR.com to see why outliers win. Thank you so much for coming to today's Outlier Live, and I'll see you on the next episode.